entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now, everybody, guess what? You are about to be treated to one of the most special, one of the most exclusive podcasts to air on the best podcast for Star Wars fans and pop culture geeks networks in its near 4 years of existence. That's right, people. We got the original podcasting crew back on the mics to talk some games. We haven't talked games in years on this network, so I'm excited. Why? Well, because we've got one of my first ever wingmen on entertainmentbuddha.com, who has now graduated to bigger and better things over at Destructoid, and that is everyone's favorite deep-vocaled, cigarette-smoking man, Raymond Pareca III.
I'm back, baby.
How's it going, buddy?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
You gotta love it. I love it. I love hearing it. I let your voices on this network. It's where it all started. It's where you practice for, the podtoid and all that fun stuff. So it's great to have you here.
Rest
and I
in
know you're
peace.
Bring some insights that we probably haven't gotten still being on our little indie site. So it's good to have Ray here. We got a pro with us. We also got the mix master himself, Nick Hershey. He's the guy behind the magic with our podcast. He does all the Star Wars mixing. He's also one of my co-hosts from our Game of Thrones or Thrones Time show that we do when Game of Thrones is in season. Which, guys, I think we're almost going to have to treat it like Star Wars time, because the number of listens that have dropped off since we stopped doing Game of Thrones is ridiculous. I mean, people were engaged over summer. We were doing almost 1,800 downloads a month, so we definitely struck a chord on the one platform where I can record downloads. So anyways, we got Hershey here. We also got the first female and one of the longest standing residents of entertainmentbuddha.com, Anna Phoebo Woodring the first is here. Anna, how's it going?
It's going well. Glad to be back.
Yeah.
In good company. Yeah,
we missed you. I know. I mean, Anna had a rough fall. A lot of shit going down. She's in Florida.
Yeah.
She's from Puerto Rico. Her family's from Puerto Rico, so she's kind of taking some time away from the site to just focus on life. But it's good to have her here to talk some games on. What the hell are we going to call this show these days? We might as well just call it Games Time, because I'm so original. We do Star Wars Time, Games Time, Thrones Time. So here we go. And then last but not least, we have my other Thrones Time co-host, and that is Keith Mathias. How's it going, Keith?
It's going very, very well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, people, it is fantastic to kind of get all these old friends together to talk about some games. And I'm going to be the first one to say, the older I get, and, I'm a dad now. My kid's almost 2 already. It's insane, and it really has impacted my gamescape, if you will. So this is probably the first year where I struggled to think of even 2 or 3 games that really stood out. So, and I find that interesting. It's just it's a shift in my own, I guess, what I can do in my free time and the things I choose to do. Or maybe it's just a shift in who I am. Maybe I'm being pulled back to my first love, which is, just sci-fi and Star Wars and just geeking out over shit that's not real, like Game of Thrones. So we're going to talk about that, and then, like I said, we're going to get the insights from the team here on what they've experienced. I mean, we're all different types of gamers at this point in time. Some probably game more than others, some less, some maybe hardly at all. So that's why we figured, let's get around, let's talk about it, and just kind of recap 2017 in gaming. I guess so. One of the first things I want to start with, panel here, is what is just right top of your head, what is the most fond memory you have of gaming this year? Go with Ray. Boom, right off the top of your head.
All 150 hours in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yeah, you have me. I enjoy following your social media around that game, because
oh my god, man, it's the best.
You guys are hooked. And I didn't think, I honestly, again, you always surprise me with your habits, because I didn't really picture you as a shooter type of, just an online shooter type of guy, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that's not my type of game at all, in theory, but like I'm sure I'll end up talking about it later, but yeah, this is like my platonic ideal of what a shooter game should be in a very specific way.
Is it? I mean, would you say it's all gameplay, or is it the social aspect, or is it kind of the mix, or is there a perfect balance of those two?
I mean, specifically gameplay more than social, because I mean I play with the same 3 or 4 people, so it's not too social in that regard. But I think just it's like so dynamic and tense and unpredictable to an extent that I don't know, it just really works for me for
all right,
for reasons I haven't quite wrapped my head around yet, I guess.
If someone isn't confident in their online shooting skills, I mean, is this a game that they could still have fun in, or are they just going to get teed off on and it's just going to be a miserable experience? And I may be talking about myself.
I mean, honestly, I think especially now that it's on Xbox, I think that probably evens the playing field a bit. I know that port has its own issues right now, but
well, it just got a big patch today, and apparently it's supposed
to
address some of the major ones, because I know Nat did the preview for us, and he said it was almost unplayable in terms of the lag and whatnot, but apparently something big went down today. So
yeah, I mean, assuming you can get it to be stable or at least have some parity with the PC version, I think like with a controller in hand on a console, it's probably super fun for someone of any skill level. I think with a mouse and keyboard, there's a lot going on, and you have to be.
Oh yeah, there's no way I could handle that. Like, is there anyone else on here that prefers the WASD mouse for a shooter?
I mean, I prefer it, but I don't own a gaming PC, so I don't get to like indulge that preference very often.
Anna, I mean, you guys ever mess with the old school?
Nope. I've tried and no luck.
Yeah, I'm always been a console guy. Never really
dude,
had
I don't know,
gaming.
like, I don't know if it's because I grew up on consoles, but I also did PC gaming when I was little. But when it came to shooters, really the first shooter I played is Halo. I mean, that's it. Not big fucking brick controller, right? I mean, I got comfortable using that thing, which is a better doorstop than a game controller, but. That had to be it. I mean, I just, it's so uncomfortable for me to do the WASD. Like, my brain is retarded or something. I can't do it. It just doesn't work because I want to use my left hand and my left is weak. And I can't figure it out enough to be competent against the type of people that are playing those games. So that game has been, it's almost like a Minecraft, right? Where it's just, its popularity has just driven it to ridiculous sales, and obviously Microsoft is thrown in with it. It has to be one of the more interesting stories of the year, and early access type of games. I mean,
yeah.
We all know that. I mean, early access is not. Sometimes it's just trash in, trash out. I mean, you don't get anything out of your money. I mean, it's still not even a real game technically.
Not till midnight, baby.
Right, and people like Ray have already dumped 150 hours into it, so that is impressive. I mean, what did he get? He got a 20 million user base is what he got on PC?
I think higher now, yeah.
Yeah, probably, but I mean, geez.
The last, press release I saw for it, I think, was 25, and that was a little bit ago, so I can't even...
Right, now he's going to get console numbers, so,
exactly,
kudos to that dude.
It's insane, man.
I mean, it is. It's like a notch. It's like a dude, right? I mean, he didn't have too many guys with him.
No, in my understanding, I guess he's been doing these mods in Arma and other games, other strategic games, and then that Bluehole just approached him to be like, "Yo, you want to do your own thing?"
It's crazy, man.
He built this game with that team, and within I guess a year, really, the dude's making.
It's all about timing, people.
$300 million or something absurd, if not more.
All about timing, being in the right place. I mean, obviously you got to have the fucking skills, but a lot of that stuff is just being in the right place, right time, doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I definitely see that with Ray with the PUBG. How about you, Anna? What's your most fond memory? Just the first thing that comes to mind.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
There you go.
That has been that's probably been one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. I mean, visually, it's unreal, and anybody that has ever talked to me about Horizon Zero Dawn knows how much I love photo mode and how I will spend hours upon hours just taking pictures, because
I love it. I love it. And I'm not laughing at her, people. I mean, if you don't know me, I take pictures of action figures and Funko Pops, like out in public. So, hey,
Yeah.
I love it too. I mean, photography is a beautiful art form.
I mean, the story itself is probably one of the more originals, stories to be told in a game. The gameplay is definitely interesting. Just, a bow, an arrow, and you have to take down some of these machines, which are sometimes very, very difficult. But once you figure out the weapons and how they work, it makes taking down the machines a hell of a lot more fun. And once you do, you're like, yes, it's
so
done.
knowing you, Anna, have you platinumed it or just enjoyed
No.
the experience?
No, I've just enjoyed playing it. I haven't really gone for.
I'm guessing because that
platinum
other game that
status.
came out this year maybe cut into some of the time, right?
Yeah, that's somewhat of a touchy subject right now. But,
Yeah, I kind of want to get into that with you a little bit because I know you are one of the hardcore, and from what I've read around all the controversies, like you're the people that they're offending at this point.
it's been we're talking about Destiny 2 for anyone that's listening. And let's be real, Bungie, y'all fucked up. I'm gonna put it like that. And
weren't they like scamming the XP system? They had like hidden tweaks in there,
Yep.
and weird
Yep.
things, and
Yeah, it was a lot of different things. I mean, between just shitty things like that with XP to just major lag. I mean, it didn't even matter what it was that I was doing. I mean, it was like 30-40 seconds before I dropped into the tower or a strike or anything. I mean, Crucible is like still extremely unbalanced. I did not enjoy Iron Banner at all. Like, and I'm only playing because my friends still play. Like, we are in a clan and we come back because that's just how we spend our time. Like, if we can't hang out with each other, we spend our time playing Destiny. And it's just really sad because we spent like 3 years, I think, at this point, doing all these things in Destiny 1, and there were all these ambitious plans with Destiny 2, and it's like they all just fell flat. Like, it just
is this the year of the developers just kind of fucking up? I mean, big boys. I'm talking like the AAA. I mean, hell, look at the debacle surrounding Battlefront 2. I mean, it's the same shit. It's like they have a perfect franchise to just make tons of money off of, but they can't fucking get over themselves. I mean, it's like, what are you doing here? Why are you trying to nickel and dime people? I mean, I understand they got to make their money. I mean, I'm not one of these gamers that's sitting there and is delusional and thinks that these developers are making jillions of dollars a year. I mean, they're probably hardly making anything off of a $60 game. So that's why they need this knick-knack bullshit to try to get some revenue and actually make money on the title. But I mean, the ways they're going about it anymore, it's just, I mean, it's gambling. I mean, you have fucking states getting ready to sue developers over these tactics. So
Publishers. Let's make sure.
Pubs.
Yeah, publishers.
Yeah, I'm sure the people working on the games aren't sitting there going, we want to put loot crates in. It's the guys paying them to make the game that are saying, and I'll go as far as say it's probably white guys in suits saying, I want you to do this.
Well, it is the video game industry, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the other things too, is microtransactions. That has, like you said, been such a big thing. And it's either, if you're not making money off of a $60 game and your money is being made off of microtransactions or DLC or whatever the case may be, like, maybe revisit the price point for a game, because we know that visually, a lot of these games come out looking very, very nice, but maybe some of the technology that's being used, it's a little bit more expensive, or whatever the case may be. But if you have people that are paying money for microtransactions and they're buying content, I mean,
it's not going to stop. I mean, these people don't do it because they're losing money. I mean, clearly it's working in certain aspects. I mean,
right. it's just really interesting.
It's a fine line. I mean, I understand why they have to do it, and there probably is a right way to do it, but it seems like this year in general, there's been a lot of poor implementations of that system. To me, I'm like, it should only be cosmetic based. I mean, if people want to get crazy ass looking costumes and gun skins, let them spend all the money they want. But when it starts affecting gameplay, then it's like, come on. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
Because wasn't there even a story with Activision of algorithms like that would pit them against people who paid for weapons or whatever the case may be to advance themselves, gameplay wise, and people who didn't, and then they would play against each other and be like, "Oh, that weapon is so cool," or
I
"This
gotta
is
go
so
buy
cool."
it. I could totally see that. I mean, sure, of
right,
course.
and now I gotta go buy
it's
it.
It's an easy if-then statement. If this person's good and this person sucks, put them together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's a bummer, but let's go over to Keith.
Yes, sir.
Your most fond gaming memory of 2017.
Totally surprising myself by being absolutely enamored with the Soulsborne games. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I bought the Bloodborne super pack or whatever with the main game and the Old Hunters DLC, and I was just like, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna like this. Like, I like difficult games, but I never having played any of the Dark Souls games, I wasn't really certain how hard they were gonna be or like how much I was going to like it, and I fell in love. So,
really? So you're one of those masochists or whatever?
I am a fucking convert, dude. This year I've played a decent number of games, all of them except for Horizon, which I just started last week. The two games that I played more than anything else are Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2: Scholar of the First Sin. Nice. And holy fucking Christ, I love those games so much. They're incredible. They're absolutely incredible.
Better man than I still don't even want to touch those things ever since talking with Ray and what they call me son bros and yo bro and hobos and you fucking die and you lose this, you lose that.
Yeah, but it's also I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today, actually, and it's one of those things where you're just like, you get into the game and it's a total throwback to being like, all right, I died, I know why I died, let me see if I can do it better. And it's a continual process of self-improvement. And it's just like by the when I started Bloodborne at the start of the year, I was horrible, absolutely horrible. The same when I first started Dark Souls 2, because it's so much slower than Bloodborne. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm not atrocious at these games anymore because I played and to use the internet parlance, I got good, noob.
All right. So do you credit some of your infatuation with the series now and the style of game with the fact that you felt like you achieved something? Do you think that's part of these types of games, that you actually kind of like when we were young? Well, shit, I'm old as shit compared to some of you guys, but when I was young, playing on Nintendo, I mean, those games were hard as fuck. So if you beat it, I mean, you actually felt like you achieved something. Today, there are games where you might have a rough spot here or there, but there's sometimes I don't feel like I really did anything besides move my controller around and hit buttons and the game ended. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So do you think some of the draw to these types of games that gamers have and that now Keith has discovered, do you think it's rooted in that, like, it does feel like you are accomplishing something again?
Absolutely.
That's just human nature, right? I mean, you feel like you're winning. I mean, it'd be like playing sports. It's no different. It really is.
There's an enormous dopamine rush that comes with finally beating the boss that killed you 20 or 30 times. Like, struggling with like the I don't know, the Smelter Demon in Dark Souls 2, or God, one of the many variations of Bloodstarved Beast in Bloodborne. It's like struggling with those things and doing
names
them
are fantastic, by the way.
Right, doing them over and over and over again, and getting like gradually watching, like on the 10th try, you get like significantly further into the boss's health bar than you did on the second try, and then on the 11th try you get even further, and it's just this gradual process of self-improvement, of just becoming a better player. And when you finally beat that thing, you're just like, fuck yeah, I am the man. And you praise the sun, and then you move on to the next challenge to get your ass kicked over and over again. First attempting a boss feels so goddamn good. Like when you just go in and you just wreck shit, and you're like, yeah, I didn't die. That makes me feel like a champion. It makes me feel like I am awesome. And you couple that with some really, really compelling lore, some absolutely incredible level design, and it's just gold, man.
Ray, you have anything to say on those games? I mean, you still into that stuff, or you just PUBG for life?
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
point?
Of course. No, I'm super happy to hear Keith's enjoying it so much, because similar to what he said, I think they're a series or a collection of games that you get as much as you're willing to put into it, and sometimes it just sucks for hours on end, and other times something clicks and you just whoop ass for a while. But I think it's always super rewarding one way or the other, so I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, the closest I've gotten to playing a game like this was a game I know Ray played this year too, and I think reviewed, was the Surge.
Yeah.
And I remember hitting the first boss. Like, you get to him in a second. I mean, the level's not very big, and you can feel that the game's going to be a little tough, but really nothing. And then you get to the boss, and he just beats the living shit out of you until you figure out what you have to do. I mean, this is one of those cases I'm always talking about. If we get games early and we run into something real tough, let's try to do a video, at least write a post on it, because people are going to be looking. I mean, I threw that shit up on YouTube, and it gets a comment a week, or like, I fucking hate this boss, thanks man, or fuck you, how come he's not fucking doing that shit he's doing in your video? I mean, it's great interaction, but I do get that sense of, yes, but I'm the type of guy that also gets really pissed, like dangerously, and breaks stuff, and it's just, I think I've just decided it's not worth the bonus of getting that dopamine rush, like Keith said. Like, I'm better off not spending another $60 on a controller.
My girlfriend gets really concerned when she hears me like screaming at the television.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
she's like, "Are you even having fun?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm having fucking fun."
Exactly. I mean, my wife thinks I basically hate all of my hobbies. She thinks I hate watching football, hate playing games. I mean, because I'm just a misery to be around when I'm experiencing something that I'm supposed to love. Whatever, it's my problem. All right, Hershey, how about you, man? I mean, I think you're kind of in my boat, where I don't know how much gaming we really did this year, but I mean, I definitely have a few thoughts. So what do you think? What stands out to you?
Yeah, so my biggest accomplishment that I'm proud of, I'll touch on real quick, is I was drafted 13th overall in MLB The Show. So I'd like to,
boy.
Yeah, I was very, very excited to be taken 13th overall by the St. Louis Cardinals. So
congratulations.
then they moved me from shortstop to first, and now I'm looking for another team. But anyway,
he's disgruntled now.
Yeah, when they move you to first, it's kind of like you're on your way out for that organization.
Yeah,
but,
man, they're putting you out the pasture.
But anyway, the game that actually really surprised me this year, I wasn't totally stoked on it when it first was announced, but it was Assassin's Creed Origins. I played that when it came out. I've played pretty much every other Assassin's Creed game to this point, so I wasn't super excited about it. I thought it was cool that they were doing it where they were doing it in Egypt. They were kind of going back to the beginning of things, so that actually surprised me. I actually put a lot more time into it than I thought I would have. I think part of it too is that a lot of the side missions that in the other games used to just feel like they dragged on or weren't really worth doing actually felt fulfilling in this game. So leveling up was a lot easier for me, and then obviously when you level up, you can defeat the bosses without getting killed 50,000 times in a row. the story itself was great. The best part was too, while I was playing, I switched TVs from my 1080 TV. I got a 4K TV, so that even
Nice.
boosted the look of the game too. So yeah, I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked the game, even though I kind of bought it, tongue in cheek.
Does it
Yeah,
have
so-
what were those songs called in Black Flag? Shanties?
Yeah,
Shanties.
there's no shanties.
Damn.
There's no stupid. You have to stealthily follow this person for 20 minutes without being detected.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
That always got annoying. But yeah, the story in this one and the missions in this one, I've finished the main storyline, but I still want to go back and do more of the side missions. Every now and then they have kind of like this super big boss challenge that's available for like 6 or 7 days, and then it goes away, where you can try and get new armor, new weapons, that sort of thing. So it's definitely kept my attention more.
So my husband hasn't really played an Assassin's Creed game since I think Black Flag, and he played through Origins, and I haven't seen anything of the story, but every now and then I would see some of the like gameplay or like side missions, or he was like, "Oh, I have to show you this," and it looks like it's a lot of fun. And I don't know if you've had a chance to do it, but I watched him do some of the gladiator battles.
Oh yeah.
And there's that one move with Senu that was like, oh shit, I did not see that coming, but it was a great moment in the game. And we upgraded to 4K recently as well, so I completely understand the shift from 1080p to 4K, and it's like, wow, like,
yeah, it's
okay,
recognizable. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow smoke. You know me, I'm Mr. Early Adopter. Everything. I've been 4K for years, but it's legit now. We're finally getting gear and games and movies that take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And TVs
so-
aren't $3,000 anymore for 4K. So that, that
Well,
helps
don't
too.
worry. 8K's right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's never ending, my friends. Never
Fantastic.
ending. All right, so
Yeah,
I guess that leaves me. I don't want to talk about my mobile game yet because I know everyone will roll their eyes, but it's got to be a game that I honestly saw getting all this buzz in the industry from all the big sites, and they're just gushing over it, and I honestly was doing the eye roll, like, here's another one of those artsy fartsy games that all the big boys are just so enamored with because it's so out there, and but I was like, I still want to check it out, so I asked around, found a PR contact, got access to What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah.
And I have to say it is one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in gaming. I mean, it's still a game that at some point in time I want to go back and replay. It's magical. It was just so different. It didn't feel like a telltale gimmicky type of narrative-driven game. It really felt like you were involved and you experienced each narrative at all the stops throughout her journey. It was just a fantastic story and experience. I mean, it was beautiful. It was, at times I was like, is this a horror game? I mean, I felt like scared as shit. At times it was a little demented and depressing. Times it was exciting, surprising. I mean, it was all around just a fantastic experience.
I bet you it hit even harder since you're a recent father too.
Exactly.
For a game
yeah. I
that's
mean,
so centered on family. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, guys. Any of you, if you ever have a kid, you really do become Mr. Sensitive. I definitely tear up a lot more in my older age as being a dad, but it was kind of a dark look at the life, but also kind of a refreshing one, and it did kind of leave a little bit of hope at the end. But it was just a, like I said, a beautiful game. It was magical. So that's my game of the year. I mean, and it's not really even a traditional game, I would say.
I think that's gonna be up there for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I know at the official awards what Nintendo was cleaning house, and good for them. I think a lot of that was nostalgia based, but whatever. I mean, that's how Nintendo survives. They capitalize on our childhoods, and we all willingly pay them for it. So this is probably one of the best years Nintendo's had, to be honest with it. They did 10 million units of the Switch since March. I mean, that's pretty good numbers, and clearly Zelda and Mario were popular. So that was my big one. So let's maybe we'll do another pass on something we liked, and then we'll end on a pass of something we disliked. I think that will give us a good amount of time, put us right around an hour, a little bit over an hour. So we'll just go around the room again. I'll start with Keith. Is there another thing that you kind of had a fond memory of this year in gaming, outside of your Bloodborne and all that fun stuff?
I just started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so I'm gonna dovetail off of Anna. I'm like 5 hours in and absolutely loving it. But I finally sat down and played a bunch of the Telltale games like early in the year, before I bought Bloodborne, and they're cool. I understand why people like really latched onto them, but I'm kind of okay with not playing any more of them.
Hey man, I'll tell you right now, I usually review most of them for the site, and they're getting to the point where it's a chore.
Yeah.
It's like Ray has been saying it all along. He's always been right. I did kind of enjoy some of the first ones, but it's like the Batman one I'm in now. I mean, it's sometimes a decent story, but you're literally just sitting there waiting to hit a button prompt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, all right. Oh, wow, there's a QT. I'll move my left stick that way, and bang. All right, let's sit here again and just wait for her to hit the choice.
Yeah, so unless the story's like ridiculously compelling,
Exactly.
like, dude, I don't know why I finished the Game of Thrones one, but I finished the Game of Thrones one, probably just because of my obsession with the franchise. But fuck, that was bad.
It
That
starts.
was
I
really
felt
bad.
like the first episode was so great, and then it just went downhill from there. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like, cool, I don't like any of these characters. Like, I was just waiting around to see, like, the brief cameos of, like, Tyrion and Dany, and everything else about that was just bleh.
I agree. The Guardians one's pretty rough, too. It was pretty bad.
Gotcha. I'm gonna skip
Hey,
it.
well, I guess it was kind of good and bad from Keith. I like
Yeah,
he's mixing it up for us there. It's like I liked it, but I hated it. So hey, that's how most gamers are, right? We are kind of an angry bunch. How about you, Anna? Anything else that kind of stands out as a positive note from this year?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed, or still enjoying playing Cuphead. I am not done playing the game, but it is challenging. But of course, with repetition, you get better. But when it first came out, a lot of people were calling Cuphead the Dark Souls of, I guess, like a platform game, because it's either you have to play. You can either play it like regular or like easy mode, and easy mode cuts out like one or two phases of the boss battle, and then regular mode is just like I don't know. I think I spent like an hour and a half on one boss, and I walked away from the game for like 2 weeks, and I came back, and then I beat like 3 bosses, and I'm like, all right, cool. I just got to play this game in increments, and I'll eventually make it to the end and finish collecting my souls. But yeah,
Isn't that
really
funny
dug
though?
it.
I bet everyone on here has experienced something like that, where you reach a point of you think it's over. You're like, I can't do it. I can't get past it. I just wasted my money on this game. I'm a failure. I'll never do it.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost reset yourself when you disconnect and walk away, and then you get that fresh stab at it. I've almost had a theory that's like the AI, after it realizes you're just dying over and over, it just makes it harder and harder and harder. So when you come back into it, it's like, all right, we'll start them easy, and then we'll start, really punching them in the nuts as they fail. Anyone else? I mean, I guarantee everyone's experienced that at least once, where games just kick their teeth in, and you walk away, and you come back, and you master it, and you flex at it. You might, do a Degeneration X movement at your crotch, spit at the TV. Maybe I've been known to do that.
I mean, yeah, I just told you I've been playing Dark Souls.
Yeah, I'm sure Keith he's had a few celebrations by himself, cheering and screaming at a TV.
And it's funny because the way that Keith was talking about Dark Souls is kind of like how I felt with Cuphead. Like, I would beat a boss and it'd be like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, I just dodged like 25 billion things coming at me, but guess what? I beat the boss, and now I can move on to the next one and do it all over again.
Now, Ray,
They're
is that a
just-
game that would interest you? I mean, I know you're kind of into that challenging
What,
stuff.
Cuphead?
But yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to play it. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'd certainly plan to over the next month or two. Yeah, it looks great.
I think the journey of Cuphead's almost more interesting in the game itself. I mean, wasn't it one of those games that was announced at E3 years and years and years ago, and it's just like, what's happening? What's
Yep.
happening? It's at the show every year, but then they're just like, hey, it's coming out.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hershey.
Yeah.
Any
so
other fond moments on top of AC?
Yeah, so this year has been the year of Dishonored for me. On Ray's recommendation, I got Dishonored 1 and 2 on Black Friday last year. Didn't play it until earlier this year, and now I'm currently playing Death of the Outsider, which came out a couple months ago or so. I'm super into these games. They're really fun. It's kind of got like a steampunk type feel to it. It's like, industrial age, so stuff feels kind of old, but yet they have technology that's super advanced.
Got magic, motherfucker.
Magic, superpowers. Each game, it's not the same. It's a similar power, but slightly different with a different name. They kind of mix it up a little bit. I think the characters are great. The story's great. So yeah, that's the other game or series, I guess, that I'm into, and I'm probably only a couple hours into Death of the Outsider right now. But yeah, I'm definitely down for Billy Lurk's journey that's going on right now.
Yeah.
I've had a
need
lot
to
of
check-
fun this year just having Hershey text me about Dishonored and stuff. So I look forward to those messages, yeah.
And Ray, I have thought about going back and playing some of them and trying to be, ghost or stealth, and I just
You
don't
gotta go
think I have.
non-lethal, yeah.
I don't think I have the willpower, the patience, or just the overall ability to do that. So I don't know.
The
We'll see.
second one naturally offers up a second playthrough, right? With the decision you have to make at the
So
beginning.
yeah, so the second one you can play as Corvo, who was the character in the first one, or as Emily, who sort of in the first one but not as a playable character. So yeah, obviously between the two they have slightly different abilities, but I played as Emily, who you would think would be the more stealthy one, but I ended up basically killing everyone I came across, so it didn't really work out in that favor
I felt
for
like
me.
in the second one that they kind of wanted you to be more stealthy than some people wanted to be. At least me. Like I felt like early on there was no way you were bum rushing people and doing well.
Right.
You get your ass beat.
Yeah,
You get
but I
your
mean,
ass beat.
even when I sneak up to people, I'm not knocking them out. I'm slicing them up. Like I'm like, I don't want them waking up later and bugging me or anything like that.
No mercy.
I'm taking
There's
them
no mercy.
out. But yeah, that's the series that I've been super into this year.
Raymond, have you fit anything else in besides PUBG?
Yeah, I actually played a lot this year. But
I mean, one of your big games came out, right? I mean, one of your big franchise games came out.
what, Nier Automata?
Persona, right?
Yeah, no, Persona, it's actually funny that in a year where Persona 5 finally comes out, it's like not the thing I'm most jazzed on. I really did love that game. Actually, I had like a special save file that was right at the final boss after I completed it that I went back to the other week just to like do that fight again. But no, I think that one of the things I'm most stoked on this year was Nier Automata. And I don't know, did any of you guys play that or?
That's like really high on the list for
Yeah.
like a year or two from now.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably the kind of thing that's really difficult to talk about if people haven't played it or have interest in it. But I mean, even the first Nier is one of my super favorite special games. So just like the simple fact that there was a new one with a little bit of money thrown behind it was really important to me. And I don't know, I've talked about it before, but it's like I don't think that game should exist, but I'm so happy that it does. And
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it kind of a sleeper hit, like critically?
The first Nier or this one?
This one.
This one I think did really well right off the bat, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way maybe the characters look, just being weird anime robot kind of goth
Right.
Lolita stuff, which I'm not crazy about that, but it actually the designs of the characters, as terrible as they kind of are, inform so much of what the game wants to say, and I think it's special that a game that's ostensibly about robots and shit like that is maybe one of the better written stories I've come across from someone that specifically cares about that kind of thing. Plus Platinum developed it. It plays really well, but I think I cried maybe 3 or 4 different times throughout my time with that because it just like really moved me in a specific way. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's a sign of a good experience, good entertainment. There's nothing wrong with crying, gentlemen. Trust me, it's good for you. Even though I still try to choke back as much as I can, as much as I can. All right, for me, I'll be the idiot. I'm like the AAA dope anymore. I mean, I go for the big glammy shit, and I'm going to predicate this with saying that I am an uber Star Wars fan. It has literally made me who I am. So, all the controversy behind Battlefront 2, I think it's a shame because in the end there was a really good Star Wars story cooked into that mess. The single-player campaign is legit. I mean, as a Star Wars fan, I appreciate being able to play a AAA Star Wars campaign again. I mean, you got to remember, we haven't had one since The Force Unleashed 2, and that's been retconned, the legend, so it's not even real anymore. So to have a game that had a canon-based story with, mediocre gameplay, pretty-looking visuals if you had the 1X, but a story that had a place in Star Wars and actually filled in some gaps for me as an Uber fan. I mean, I'm a geek. I love absorbing as much lore as I can from shit that's not real. I mean, Game of Thrones, same shit. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. So I just enjoyed playing a good Star Wars story. I'm not saying it was a good game. I'm saying it was a good Star Wars story. Gave me a little bit of Luke, gave me a little bit of Leia, a little bit of Han, a little bit of Lando. I mean, how could you not like that? I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, the game itself, do I play it? No. I mean, multiplayer, I completely understand why people boycotted. They've done stuff to try and fix some of the things, but it's a deal now where if you try to get in the multiplayer, the people that have been playing, they're leveled up, you're just going to get fucking hammered. And the only way to get ranked up is to play games and matches. So you just get your titties pinched nonstop, left and right, just to earn some XP to try and compete with the people that already have better gear than you. But in the end, I do think that game is one of this year's biggest tragedies because they did listen to fan feedback with almost everything. They just fucked it up with the delivery. And a lot of people are going to miss out on a pretty decent Star Wars story because of the choices of EA. So that is a top moment. I mean, like I said, I'm into Star Wars. You could like put Star Wars shit somewhere and I'd watch it. I'd pay for it. Star Wars poop, bantha poo-doo. So that's my second highlight. I'll throw a cheap one in here, and it's just because I'm so impressed with this game. 2 years in now, I'm still play daily Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It is by far one of the greatest free-to-play mobile games ever created, and the fact that it's still around and still has a dedicated base and still gets updated content multiple times a year shows that they're making money. So kudos to them. I love that shit. Gives me at least an hour and a half, 2 hours a day of free entertainment and Star Wars. So doesn't get any better than that. All right, so let's kind of as what's that?
I'm sorry. I have a happy thing to add.
Yeah, go.
Hearthstone. I finally started playing Hearthstone. I bought an iPad, and I'm playing Hearthstone on my iPad for usually a couple of hours a week. And I
pay or all free?
Oh, all free, man. I want to spend my gaming dollars on like bigger games. So I'm totally
you gotta prioritize.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool to just like scrub along with whatever it is that I can unlock by playing the game. And again, I'm only playing for like a couple hours a week, but damn, that game's cool.
Everyone needs a good little F2P in their pocket, right? For the toilet, on the train ride, car ride, plane ride, whatever. It's nice to throw one of those up and get some easy, cheap, free entertainment. Yeah. So, I'm a big fan. I know Ray is too. Ray's always playing the hottest mobile games.
I played Hearthstone for like 4 matches actually.
He couldn't delete it off his phone quick enough.
No, like similar to kind of what Keith said. Actually, I think maybe 2 years ago I got like a Samsung tablet and I downloaded it. I actually really liked it. I just had other stuff I was doing at the time and have not ever gone back to it. But I know they're like still putting stuff out and people seem to really like it. So,
dude,
maybe one day.
Nobody supports.
Look at
games
Clash
like
of Clans. I mean, look at Clash of Clans. That shit's still going strong.
Yeah.
I mean, I dropped out of those ones. Those were a little too much for me. A little too much waiting for the cheap players like myself. And I mean, honestly, if I didn't spend all my daughter's college money on toys, I would probably spend way more money on this stupid game. But I got to make that decision. Are we eating, or am I going to get some purple gems and Galaxy of Heroes to get my gear level up on Baze Malbus? You know, I mean, those are the decisions I make in my life at near 38 years old. That's how I think about gaming these days. All right, so on a more positive note, let's turn to some hate. So we'll just kind of go around the horn again, talk to the panel, and we'll all bring up one thing that it could be a game. Like I said, it could be anything you disliked about the industry this year. I'm going to start with Ray on this one.
You know what? Last week when we were talking about doing this show, I put together notes about things I wasn't stoked on, and one of them was Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Dig into that.
I've actually come around on it in the last 7 days.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Because I was ready to do some hating on that game.
So I think, I don't know. It's still like I don't love it nearly as much as a lot of people seem to. It's not as good as Link's Awakening or anything like that, but I've learned that if I just it's the kind of thing I play it on my Wii U, which I leave at my girlfriend's apartment, and I get a lot of enjoyment playing that for like 45 minutes or so before she wakes up or something.
So just you got to do it in small doses.
Yeah, and like I think I was bouncing off it a lot because I didn't do any of the I don't know what they call them, like Guardians or whatever the dungeons are called there. But doing that and like kind of meeting some character stuff and like actually lifting, moving around the world, I guess, a bit more. It's pretty mellow. I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. I still don't think it's the hottest thing in the world, but it's fun. It's a reason to use the Wii U.
My biggest beef, straight up, was the breakable weapons. Mm-hmm. I just don't get that. I don't know how that adds any enjoyment to that type of game.
I think it's there because I'm with you. I don't love it, and I actually find myself just like switching between 2 or 3 weapons at any given time, so none of them break, and kind of using it as long as I can. But I guess like it's such a systems-driven game, which is so unusual for an open world style game specifically. Right. That if you don't have weapons breaking so often, then you don't have people, treating the game like a playground and doing some of the incredible things you can do within that. So
I could see that.
Yeah. It's like even playing with electricity and weird stuff like that. To be honest, I tend to just like run in with my sword, shoot some, arrows and fight that way. But you can do some like stupid smart stuff, which is really cool. So yeah. As I said, it's still not my favorite game, but I do like playing it in very short bursts.
Definitely was a darling this year. I mean, it was Nintendo had 2 out of the top 5 games at the Game Awards. I mean, if you want to believe they're the say all be all, but I mean, and I think a lot of people would. I mean, I'm not saying that they're stupid. I mean, again, that's that nostalgia. It's Nintendo. Nintendo's good at doing Nintendo. We all know that. I mean, they're good at making their franchise games. That's all they're good at. But hell, that's all they need, clearly. How about you, Hershey? Anything that just kind of stood out as sucking this year in gaming?
I mean, aside from the whole microtransactions debacle, as far as games specifically go, I got the new South Park game. I started playing it, got a few hours in, and I just wasn't hooked on it like I was on Stick of Truth.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Now that I think about it, Hirsch, I didn't get many messages from you about a new South Park game, which I was super excited for it. I
pre-ordered it so I could get a PS4 copy of Stick of Truth. I replayed Stick of Truth and still love that. But yeah, the new one, it doesn't feel that different. And again, I'm only a few hours in, so maybe it'll change it up a little bit for me. The only real noticeable difference so far has been how the battles are done, as opposed to just picking an enemy. You now have battle, like a battle grid, where depending on what attack you want to use, it'll hit these certain grids. So you have to line up where it's going to hit to where your opponents are. So that was a little weird to get used to at first, but with Stick of Truth, I couldn't get enough. I would play it for a couple hours, and then when I would go to bed, I'd be like, I just want to play Stick of Truth some more. And that it's been pretty easy to put down Fractured Butthole. As great as the name is, it's been easy to put down and not pick back up yet. But I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna keep going.
That kind of bums me out because, dude, I literally just got a code from one of my Sony buddies for that game. Mm-hmm. I just installed it yesterday. I'm not sure.
It actually gets better because I felt the same way, but I actually
does it just get too sticky?
Game.
I mean, is it just too much South Park shtick or?
Well, I mean, there's that, but I still like the whole play of them poking fun at like the superhero genre, right, and just some of the more themes that have been very prevalent in like the news, like whether it's been gender related and of course getting political and stuff like that. So it does get better. Like I did enjoy the new battle options because I like that grid style, and so it got better, and there's an interesting turn in the game. So I think if you just stick with it and you just give it like a little bit more time, you might actually start enjoying it. But if not, no, I mean, like it's not for everyone. But yeah, there was, it does kind of feel like they're making a play on some of the same jokes, but I liked it for the combat. And then once you got more into the story, it got really funny.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back into it. I just haven't been in a rush to get back to it. So yeah. I have a week off coming up, so I'll probably jump back into it then.
Yeah, it's going to take a ticket for me. I mean, my backlog's so stupid big right now. I feel like it literally stresses me out. All right, let's go to Anna. What was your, I think I may know, but what was your big letdown of the year?
I mean, we kind of talked about it already. Just Destiny 2.
Now, didn't you think, though, when it first came out, that it was pretty legit, like system-wise? Like, I felt like everything worked well, but it's like some of the tweaks they made down the road kind of jacked things up.
Yeah, and that's kind of what ended up happening, is that they just started making these changes, and I think a lot of people, like when Iron Banner, came around, were extremely disappointed because you got into a match and you either ended up on a team that was in the lead, and in Crucible now, if you're in the lead, you're in the lead. There's barely any way of ever recovering from such a huge gap that it just doesn't.
Trust me, if you're on my team and we're in the lead, we'll still lose. You played, right? You experienced the mess that's me on multiplayer shooters.
Yeah, but
Anna was like kicking the shit out of like our team. Like she was so far better than all of us who were playing.
But yeah, so it and then the reward system for Iron Banner it's like tokens. It just didn't make any sense. And
so would you say that was the start of the problems? Then was the first Iron Banner event?
Yeah, from there for me it was that, and then every time I wanted to do a strike, I was literally doing the same 2 strikes, even though there were maybe like a handful that you could do. But I ended up, I had more fun doing the raid with my friends than I did, doing any of the end game stuff. But they came out, the fan base complained enough that they came out with that laundry list of changes that they're implementing, and laundry list is putting it nicely, because it was a pretty lengthy list of things that they were working on, and that was everything from XP to better weapon drops, repetition of exotics, and making sure that they put out better end game loot. And even with Curse of Osiris, I still don't know anything about Osiris other than it's just I
haven't even
guy.
touched it yet. Like, I haven't even had the desire to play it. I know it downloaded and installed, but I haven't really cared. I'm the same way. Destiny 2 went the same way as Destiny 1. I'm not going to say that. I was much more enthralled with Destiny 2 for a bit longer, but I'd say 6 weeks in, that light was gone. I'm like, I'm done. Who cares?
Yeah.
I care less.
So, long story short, I only play, I'm still playing Destiny 2 a lot because of my friends, and we just have fun playing the game. But as far as, the direction that Bungie has kind of gone in is not what we would, we're just not thrilled with it. And me and my friends have had multiple conversations of it, and we're just like, why don't we just play something else? And we're like, but we won't have fun. And so, like, that's the only reason why. So yeah, but I gotta hand it to the community managers, because I feel like they've been really putting some fires out.
I bet it's been an interesting few weeks over there trying to manage those forums.
Yeah. Just be careful what you ask for. You want the feedback, people are gonna give it to you.
And it's bad because haven't they kind of come out and almost apologized for some of the shit they've been doing?
Yeah. I think
that's bad when they actually admit, like, we were kind of doing some sneaky shit with the progression. And
the XP one was probably like the biggest shock of all, because it was just kind of like for people who have leveled up, essentially you're stripping them of their free loot box, their bright engram for a shader or a ship or a sparrow or whatever. And you're basically saying that if you're grinding public events, you're getting more XP, but if you're grinding on Crucible, you're not getting nearly enough XP, so we're going to dial it back on public events and add more for Crucible and Strikes, but we're going to dismantle the system first, and then we'll reinstate it. But again, I think they were a little ambitious. I think they took criticisms from Destiny 1, and when they tried to apply them to Destiny 2, it just went in a completely different direction. But again, you can't make everyone happy, so,
Damn straight. Just talk to some Star Wars fans right now. You want to talk about some upset people. Jesus.
Yeah.
You didn't make the movie I thought you should make in my head. It sucks. It's worse than the prequels. That's not me, by the way. I actually liked it.
I know it's a side conversation, we're talking about games, but I thoroughly enjoyed the new Star Wars. I don't understand what everyone's so upset about. I think it's a nice,
I'm telling you,
interesting direction.
We're weirdos. Like, for 2 years, a lot of us dream up what we think we should see. And when it doesn't happen, for some reason, some of us can't cope with that, and we get angry. Where I was actually, the reason I actually love it so much was because he didn't do what we all thought he would do. And I don't want to go much further than that because it's still very fresh and spoiler landmines everywhere. But I was, when I came out, I was like, wow, I was wrong about everything and I loved it.
I'm going to chime in real quick and just say that I almost fell asleep twice during the movie.
It was
and
really
it was
long,
it was a 1 o'clock showing, so it wasn't like it was late at night or anything. But that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, man. Hey, like I said, it's going to go down as one of the most, if not the most divisive Star Wars films of all time. Yep. All right, so who we got to move on? Let's move on to Hershey, since, he hates Star Wars. That means he hates babies and everything else that's lovely in this world. So.
Oh, I get to go again?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We did Hershey.
Yeah. I'll talk about South Park some more. Or,
Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, I had a list. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. So my least satisfying moment this year came from a game that came out 3 years ago. I'm on a trend of playing games that came out like 2 to 3 years ago. So I finally beat Shadow of Mordor. And while the game itself, like the 99.9% of that game is amazing, the final boss is a really bad joke.
It's terrible.
And left me with just this awful taste in my mouth. Like,
So I should keep at that game because I've hit the point where I don't really know how to continue the story. Like which fucking missions I need to do. I'm assuming I need to like capture some of the castles or some shit.
mm-hmm.
I mean, is it worth dumping the time in? Because I've probably already dropped 30 hours.
I mean, it got to the point where like some of the Uruk warlords and the captains and stuff were killing me so frequently that they, like, hunting and killing them became like trying to beat Dark Souls bosses. Those dudes got so powerful.
Sounds perfect for what I like to play.
Yeah. No, it was challenging in a really, really good, fun kind of way. And I loved seeing a Lord of the Rings game done really, really well, except for that stupid fucking final boss. So yeah, that was a total bummer. But I think one of my other big downers has been the fact that like Titanfall 2 is something that I've been dicking around with every once in a while, and despite being amazing, nobody plays it anymore. And I'm like, oh, cool. So like multiplayer is just a slog, that word. Because there's nobody online on that game anymore.
What games out there these days? Is it PUBG? Is PUBG sucking up all the shooters? Are there other games that are thriving right now?
I mean, Overwatch is still out there.
Yeah.
Overwatch?
Yeah. I don't
I mean,
see
I think-
Overwatch going
I think
away
there's-
anytime soon.
I think there's still a huge contingency playing Siege, Rainbow
Yeah,
Six.
Yeah.
Siege is dope still. I just started playing that again.
I mean, is
You
that
got a
more
lot of
like
people playing Fortnite as well, which Fortnite originally started out like something completely different and evolved into this.
Well, it included a PUBG mode, essentially. I mean, it
Yeah.
dropped, and then a month or two later, they released their Battle Royale.
No,
but
but
they
I mean,
still had the
like-
building aspect. I tried that one. There's another one. Just like, what the fuck do I care?
No, but I mean, like years ago when the game was first announced, wasn't it like?
Oh, yeah.
You had to find stuff.
It was
build a
supposed to be more
fort,
like
and then-
Minecraft, where you just
Right.
built to defend, and it really, I think it was more co-op based than competitive. I mean, it still
Yeah.
kind of is, but
Yeah, but I mean now it's changed that. Yeah, and they added that that battle mode, which is like that PUBG.
I think my problem is I just don't like talking to other gamers. So these games that require coordination, I kind of eliminate myself from it.
That's why you'll never catch me playing a MOBA.
Yeah, I'm an angry old gamer, I guess. That's just what you turn into. I guess, well, I'm angry, so I'll roll into what I'm upset about. And honestly, I'm going to take it a slightly different direction. And I am most upset about myself in 2017 when it comes to gaming. Because this is a year I think I fundamentally decided that gaming wasn't my number one hobby anymore. And it kind of makes me sad when I think about it, because, I mean, gaming like Star Wars was a huge influence on my childhood. I mean, I'm an NES kid. I was born 80, so right by the time I hit 4 or 5, I was into it and hooked ever since. And it really drove my passions in life along with Star Wars and got me into what I do, computer science, all that fun shit. And this year in general, I mean, yes, becoming a dad thing, that's naturally going to cut some time out. But with the job I have, the career I've chosen of being a professor, it offers up a pretty nice schedule. So I do have my free time, and that's in addition to my second job to run the site and doing podcasts and this, that, and the other thing. So I do have hours at the end of the night. I mean, I go to bed usually 2. I'm up by 8:30. So there's time in the day. I try to maximize, but I find now at night when I would usually game that I don't have that drive anymore to game. I would rather edit some toy photography or literally watch The Office because I never watched The Office, so I did that. I'm
Good
doing
choice.
I'm doing Parks and Rec now, and I'm enjoying watching the shit I never watched. But it's come at the expense of my gaming hobby, and it sucks because. I mean, I'm hearing Anna talk about Horizon, Keith talk about Titanfall 2. I mean, these are games I literally have in shrink wrap, and I'm looking at them, and it pains me to know that, you know, people I respect their opinions in gaming, that they love these things, and they're special, and they're great, and they provide all this entertainment, that I don't want to play them. Like, I either I don't make time for them, or I always make an excuse not to play it. You know, when I look at Horizon, I'm like, well, man, that's going to be 80 hours of time. You're really going to get that game in? You'll probably get a game you have to review, and that's going to cut it off, and will you ever go back to it? So I've just gotten to the point now where, like, if I know I can't beat a game within a week's time of, you know, playing a couple hours at night, I just kind of avoid them, and I know by doing that I'm cutting off a lot of great new experiences. And Horizon stands out because Anna's not the only one that has said, like, this is definitely one of the most special games of the year, and I could see that. I mean, just in what I've played it on show floors and have seen it and, you know, other people playing, that's a game that it bummed me out. So to me, it's really my abandoning of one of my top hobbies. And I'm not saying it's for good. It could come back, but I mean, these days, really, when I sit down, I have my time to myself, I'm finding my attention being drawn to other hobbies outside of gaming, and that it just kind of bummed me out. Because every year is going to bring a magical experience, and luckily I experienced that with Edith, but I think I probably missed out on a few other gems, and someone that played a lot of fucking games in his life, it's like, wow, I am getting older. So not to depress you guys that are still in your 20s, which is I think is just Ray at this point, so yeah, it's big me. I'm the big old loser in 2017 in gaming.
Dude, I can echo that. There's a reason I'm playing games from like 2 or 3 years ago. It's and that they're RPGs. They're things that I don't have to like sit and practice every night to be competitive at. Like, I haven't picked up Overwatch because I know that I want to be good at that, and I know that I can't be good at it.
Totally. It is. I mean, like I said, I kind of psych myself out of gaming anymore, where I'm like, oh, you're not going to have the time to dedicate to enjoy it. Fuck it. Fire up a Galaxy of Heroes and get your gaming in that, and then watch an episode of Parks and Rec. I mean, it's like that's what I've been reduced to with my gaming. But I'm trying. I've been slogging through Shadow War, and I do like it because I'm a Lord of the Rings junkie too. But I literally have never been in a game where it's not clear how to continue the main quest. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't know. It's kind of neat that I got myself in that situation somehow, like, because I was clearly just playing it in an open world sense, but now I'm kind of going, all right, I kind of want to see what's going to happen next, or where's the story going here, because I can only attack these fucking orcs so much before I get completely bored of this title. Oh boy, well, that was fun, right? I mean, it's been a long time since I've talked games, and hell, maybe that's why I don't play them as much, because I do feel like myself as someone. I'm never going to call myself a writer. I'm a blogger at best. I'm a manager of a site. A lot of my attention this year has been dedicated to other pop culture things. A lot of stuff in movie and TV. I mean, that's another thing that's really pulling on my time. I mean, I do love film, and I do love television, and there's a lot of good TV and movies out there now. So, hey, whatever. It's not that bad, Ray. Don't worry. When you get up close to 40, you can make it as great as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm painting such a pretty picture right now. But no, life is good. Trust me. I have no complaints right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
None
get
at
to
all.
engage with stuff you like more than games, because let's be honest, games are kind of awful most of the time, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it is great being a dad and hanging out with
Yeah,
the kid,
dude.
and being outside every weekend in the summer taking pictures and, you know, posing my toys and dreaming up scenes. So I'm not sitting here trying to be Eeyore like my life sucks. It's actually rather great, but as a gamer, it's one of those signals of like, yeah, you're getting older, and some of those things you loved when you were younger, you may not quite feel the same way anymore.
Yeah, and I think maybe going forward you're gonna continue like games like Edith Finch and stuff. Maybe those are just the things
That's
that
what
we
I'm
wanna
looking
be
for,
doing.
man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for those 2 to 6 hour jaunts at best. I anything over 8 hours, it's almost like, man, I don't know if I can climb that mountain anymore.
You gotta do Night in the Woods next. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, gang. Well, like I said, it's been real. So before we leave, we'll just kind of go around the table. If anyone wants to plug out something they're doing, socials, other sites, go for it. So, Ann, anything you want to throw out there?
Not really.
All
Just,
right, rock and
you
roll.
know, keep, you know, if you're playing current games, hope you're enjoying them. If you're going to a backlog, good for you. It's better than most of us can say that we've gotten a chance to do, but keep playing the games, and if you like them, you like them. You don't, move on to the next one.
I'm headed your way Friday, and we're going to Orlando on Saturday to do that ILM X Labs Star Wars VR thing.
Nice.
Super pumped. All right, Keith, anything you want to plug? Any band stuff? Any socials?
Yeah.
Someone has a new album out.
Someone has a new album out.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you guys like really weird black death metal with a lot of math rock and jazz influence, my band put out our second full length album like 3-4 weeks ago on Black Friday, and the band's name's Genevieve. It's the album's called Regressionism. It's out on Grimoire Records, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. That's aside from working, that's what I've spent the vast majority of my time doing this year. Is
and you're a bass player, right, Keith? Is that correct?
Yeah, I play bass and do vocals.
All right, look at that. See, he's got some pipes. You can tell. You can tell. You know, when he sounds good on the mic, you can probably do a little singing. I still want to hear.
Your
Pareka
album
do
looks
some
nice,
singing.
dude. I'm looking at like the album art now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You had me at math rock.
I mean,
Well,
quite frankly, I've never even heard of
are-
that, and I was like, man, that sounds bitchin' as fuck. Math it up, guys. I mean,
If you like fucky time signatures, there are plenty of them.
Nice.
now, are you guys growlers? I mean, is it that death, or you guys are actually singing?
There's a little bit of everything. Like
All
me and my buddy Eric, who's he plays a bass. Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of shrieking, a little bit of singing, a little bit of yelling.
I'm interested. I mean, I love this type of shit.
It's a thing.
Yeah. All right. Rock and roll.
Yeah,
Awesome,
we
dude.
don't like to do just one thing. We like to do all the things.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I always wish I could be talented at something, but
I mean, my talent is debatable. The rest of the
Dude,
rest
you can
of my
play an
band
instrument. I mean, people that can play an instrument to me, they're like gods. I mean, people that can draw pictures, same thing. People that can program, same thing. They're all artistic talents that my brain just wasn't meant to handle. So I love that shit. I mean, I always tell my programming students, I'm like, hey, I'm not a programmer. It's an art skill. It is. You just got to be wired that way. I mean, think about some art. I mean, just look at a piece of art around you. I mean, someone fucking drew something. They drew that, and it looks real. I mean, that shit blows my mind. All right, we're getting into some goofy tangents. I like it. Hershey, anything to plug, buddy?
Just keep checking out Entertainment Buddha.
There it is.
And the Star Wars podcast, of course.
Yeah, man. And Nick and I, maybe someday, I mean, like I said, there's always room for more shows. And I do think once iTunes gets its podcast analytics figured out, we should get better gauges on what we're doing. But I can tell you for a fact, this little rinky-dink podcast network from a little rinky-dink site was approaching 2,000 downloads a month over the summer when we were doing Star Wars and Game of Thrones. So that's pretty impressive.
The only thing that hurts me though is that we won't get Game of Thrones till 2019. So even if we talk about it between now and then, I feel like it's just gonna
well,
break even.
it's kind of like we could use the same formula that Nick and I do on Star Wars time. I mean, there's always going to be junkies out there that are down for speculation and theory, and I mean, I love doing that shit. I mean, I can't imagine how many hours I wasted in Star Wars Theory. None of it was right, and I loved it. I mean, again, that's why I loved it, because I fucking bombed on everything. I mean, I was taking shit to the bank, and it didn't happen. So we may have to talk sometime in spring of 2018 about firing that bitch back up. Mr. Ray, what do you got for us these days? Where can we see your words? I know you're few places, but your main home is Destructoid.
Yeah,
some of the other things.
Yeah, I'm working over on some Destructoid stuff, but the real thing I wanted to say is that Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days is the best shooter of all time.
It's got some of the best cover art of all time. I know that.
Yeah, it's the dopest, and that's all I have to say about that.
Rock and roll. All right. Well, as always, you know what to do. Just keep those browsers tuned to entertainmentbuddha.com on a daily basis, because it will make you a better geek one post at a time. Don't forget we're on YouTube as well, youtube.com/entertainmentbuddha. You can catch these podcasts, the Star Wars Time, Thrones Time, on iTunes, Google Play, Android, Stitcher. I mean, literally, you can RSS to it. You can download the shit. We make it so readily available. It's disgusting. It's also on YouTube. Jesus, you can get it everywhere. And just a personal thing, if you're into action figure photography, hit me up on Instagram.com/HeywoodPop or 500 pics HeywoodPop too. All right, people. Honestly, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Ray, and you, Anna, and you,
Glad
Nick,
to be
and you,
back.
Keith. Maybe we'll do this every, maybe once a quarter or something, or whenever we can all get together, because
I'd be happy
been real.
to,
Yeah, it's been fun to talk to old friends and just talk about gaming, because even though I said I'm kind of falling out of favor with it in terms of my hobbies, I still love it, and I love the industry, and I love the people and the stories that come out of it every year. So yeah, we might do this again. Games Time might be back. All right, people, I don't have a catchphrase for this one, so I'm still going to say, may the force be with you. Always.